In round 4 of the European Women's Blitz Championship, I played one of the best games I have played in a very long time. I was playing against Georgian international master Sofio Gvetadze, who has had a peak of over 2400 classical rating. I was feeling pretty calm before the game, thinking that I was facing a much stronger opponent who I had nothing to lose against. But like I said before, this would turn out to be one of my best games in a very long time, especially in Blitz. So we were waiting around now, just for the arbiter to say that we could start the games, and we were kind of looking around everywhere. To be honest, I always feel a little bit awkward in these moments. I'm not really sure exactly what to do, and everything that I want is just for the arbiter to say that we can start the game, because what to do right now, you know? But finally, after what felt like an eternity, the arbiter said that we could start the games. So we shook hands and my opponent started the clock. I started with the move d4 and she went knight f6. I played c4 and she played c5. I decided to play d5, and after g6, bishop g7, I realized that this would end up becoming some form of Benoni, but a little bit of a different Benoni. A lot of times there's an exchange on d5 a little bit earlier, but this became a bit slower. But I decided to go for f4 because this is what I typically play in Benoni, and I really like playing this because I get so much space. My idea a lot of times is to play e5. Obviously not yet because the e5 pawn can become very weak, but after she went e6, this to me felt like a very regular Benoni, and I was feeling very at home here. This might be my favorite opening to face, so please, future opponents, play this opening because I love it. I shouldn't be saying it out on YouTube, but I am because I just love it so much. But I was really excited here. I was obviously not showing that on my face, but I was so happy. So I played bishop d3 in this position. She exchanged the pawns in the center. I took back with the c pawn. I was for a split second thinking about taking with the e pawn, but that obviously doesn't make sense. She went a6, I went a4. Really important to prevent her from playing b5 and expanding on the queen side. And now she played queen c7 with the idea of playing c4, threatening my bishop, and then perhaps queen c5 check if I decided to castle here. So I spent a little bit of time considering my different options, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't mess up the opening in any way, because I'll be honest, in chess, typically my biggest weakness is my opening. I decided to play queen e2 to prevent her from going c4, as I figured that was her plan, and now she pretty quickly played knight bd7, simply developing. I castled, she went rook e8, and now that I've almost fulfilled all of my development, like all of my pieces are out and my king is safe, I was starting to consider, when can I play e5? Can I do it now? I couldn't do it now because she would just take my pawn as she has more pieces defending that square. So I played bishop d2, developing my bishop and also preparing to maybe go rook a e1 and then preparing for this e5 move. I was really happy in this position because it felt like all my pieces were in natural squares. I wasn't really sure what her plan was going to be, and it just felt like I was better here. I just thought, you know, I wouldn't want to play with the black pieces here. So I definitely felt very happy in my opening against this international master, and she played rook b8, which makes sense because what is there to do for black? Her idea now is to play b5 and expand on the queen side. And that is just a very natural thing to do, but it's going to be hard for her to do it as I have both my pawn, my knight, and my bishop looking towards that square. So I played rook a1, now threatening to maybe go e5 very soon and e6. And my plan was very simple. So she played queen b6. And as soon as she played this move, obviously I knew that her threat was to go c4 check and check my king at the same time as she's threatening my bishop and therefore win a piece. So I was considering either going king h1 or going a5. But the reason I really liked a5, which I started calculating, was because I wanted to play e5 in this position, and by going a5, I would be able to deviate her queen from b6, gaining a tempo, forcing the queen to move from this diagonal, which would mean that I would have time to instantly play e5, and I wouldn't spend any time doing something else. So I spent probably a little bit too much time here analyzing it, but I was just so excited about this a5 move that I really wanted to make it work. And so I almost here played king h1. I was looking at my king and I was like, okay, whatever, let's just play king h1. I know it's a move that works, but I really wanted to make a5 work. And my eyes were just drawn towards that pawn. That was everything I wanted to do. It just felt so beautiful. Also placing the queen on the same diagonal as the bishop. So finally, with 30 seconds left, I played a5, which is actually the second best move by the computer, even if it's giving a question mark. The best move having been there to go king h1. But I still have a great advantage here. My only issue is the time. I have 29 seconds left in a very complicated position. She pretty quickly took the pawn, and now I played e5, the best move. And now I was feeling really happy because I got my e5 move in. I was threatening moves such as knight e4, threatening the queen on a5 because of my bishop on d2, and her position could really quickly fall apart here. Like, she makes one mistake and she could be in a lost position. So she started spending time thinking here too. Her time was now less than a minute, and we were both about to play a very intense blitz game. So she took the pawn, I instantly took back. She moved the knight to g4, which made a lot of sense. I had 26 seconds, but I pretty quickly realized that I'm gonna lose that pawn if I don't move it. I was trying to see if there was any good knight b5 or knight e4 or a place to move my knight, but I started freaking out about my time. And so I play the move e6, which is actually the best move there too. Right now, I am almost in a winning position. Like, the opening has become fantastic for me. My only issue is the time. So time was ticking down. And I realized that it was now that she had less than a minute. I thought she had less than a minute before, but no, she had then just under 2 minutes. I didn't realize that the time difference was this big, but it was, which even showcases more how stressed I was because of my time. She took my pawn here. I took back with my pawn as well, and now there were all kinds of threats. She had to move her knight. She moved it to f6, and I now played with just a few seconds on the clock the best move, e7. The idea here was to open up the diagonal so that my bishop could come into c4. I now have a completely winning position against her, but with only 5 seconds on the clock. I was really nervous because I didn't want to mess this up, especially with so little time, but I was just focused. I was just trying to breathe and just say, Anna, come on, you got this. Her time was starting to tick down as well. She only had 15 seconds left here. She wasn't sure of what to do, so she ended up playing b5 to stop me from going bishop takes c4. But that was a pawn that I could take. So when knight takes b5, she went queen b6. I went check. She went king h8. I played now knight g5, a brilliant move as I'm sacrificing the knight. And now after check, the king goes up, and I can go for knight d6, threatening the rook. There's no way for her to defend the rook because I will otherwise queen. So I took the rook, but now out of mistake, I blundered a knight and I thought it was game over. And I got so annoyed. I couldn't believe that after this fantastic opening, one of the best openings that I've played in a very long time, with little time, I had blundered a piece and now another piece was gone, and I was just so annoyed. But I told myself, okay, Anna, this is still a really crazy position. She has 9 seconds left on the clock. Let's not give up. Although now I was completely lost. I played a move with a second on the clock. We traded. I was 2 pieces down. She could really quickly win this, or really easily win this as well. But we were both so stressed about the time. I started trying to complicate matters. I took a pawn. She moved her queen back. I went g4. I was trying to make her king a little bit more unsafe. I went g5. I played this tricky move, queen b4. She went check, and after my king moved, she took my knight, missing that I have a checkmate in 2, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. So here I ended up winning this game against an international master and a woman grandmaster. I mean, she's also a woman grandmaster. She has both titles. But I just couldn't believe what had just happened in this game. From this fantastic opening where I'm fully winning, to me blundering 2 pieces in a row in time trouble, to kind of coming back with this trick and checkmating her. It was crazy, but I was so happy that I had won this game. I was on 3 out of 4 points, and when I went out, I told my dad that I had won, and he couldn't believe it. And he ran up to my mom and he said, Mom, or not mom, but he said, Pia, did you know that Anna just beat an international master? And I was so happy. So I was on 3 out of 4 points, and round 5 was very soon about to start. I was now gonna face an extremely strong player.